Hi, welcome to Wonder.wander Homeschool. I'm Shauna, and I'm going to be talking about my third grader and my first grader's science that we did this year. This year we decided to do the biology for the grammar stage by elemental science. And we're going to look right into that today, and hopefully this helps you kind of narrow down the idea for science, because I know science is one of those subjects you always want to do with all of your age groups. If you can together, it just helps with time, but you also want to make sure that you're not lacking the depth. So let's get into it. All right, so this comes with a student workbook for the kids to write their notes on and a teacher's guide. Teacher's guide is super important for this, so this is Well-Trained Mind. Biology for the grammar stage. And it has all the different weeks. So it starts this year, we started with habitats and animal behavior. Then we went to mammals, all the different types of mammals, and then all the different types of birds, reptiles and fish and invertebrates. And then I actually did a pause. I kind of used the human body unit, but I mainly used this book. My Body is Amazing. I got off of Amazon. It was incredible. It was full of all sorts of things that we'll look at. So for this book, we had an animal encyclopedia that you needed to get, that they recommended. They will let you know, I believe. And nope, notebooking, quizzes, possible schedules. Here we go. Tells you encyclopedias that they recommend, either or. I ended up doing DK, Encyclopedia of Animals, and it was fantastic. And then I also used the human body. That was pretty good. I used it a little bit. I mainly used the book, but I used a little bit of that. And then the plants unit, we actually just started our garden outside, so we didn't do that part of the curriculum. We very lightly did. We read from this book that they want you to read from for plants. It was very short. I feel like that was a weakness in this particular curriculum, that it just didn't really keep our interest for the plants part. They have a lot of projects that you can do. You can do a project every day if you want. But yeah, they go through all different kinds of animals and different habitats. I think they did a great job with that. They did a really good job of having the kids be encouraged to make a rainforest at one point. They have, this is kind of, let's see how a week goes. So they have possible schedules you can do if you do like a 2-day where you don't do science every day, or if you do it a 5-day week. We did more of a 4-day kind of combo. So we would read about the desert and grasslands, and then we would add information on the desert and grasslands in the student workbook, which there's a narration page that would be in here. And so let's see if I can get that one. There you go. So there's like the desert and grasslands. So the desert, my phone, there you go. Desert, and it has, she explained what she learned about grassland, rainforest, and she colored each habitat, and she's able to write on what she learned, and she did her own habitat with what she's learned from it. She chose the desert, and they did the other habitats. Then they had their first lab report, and the lab reports they would usually have you copy off of the book that they would have you get, which is, oh, do I not have it up here? Here it is. This was a great one. Has a bunch of fun biology experiments that they're very simple and pretty quick. I did like that, especially because my kids really love the science experiments, but it is a pain sometimes when you don't have what you need, and it's mainly household objects for the most part. We didn't use all of these, but there's lots for in the future if I wanted to go back and do just, maybe over the summer do science experiments just because they're fun to do. My third grader was not a huge fan of having to write down the lab report, but she did it. So it'd be a picture of what we saw. For camouflaging, I took like a Lisa Frank coloring page, and I cut out a piece, and then I had it be transferred in with different colors and the original piece, and just say, well, which one camouflages best. So they did different colored papers to see which blends in best, and the outcome and our insight. So it just gets them ready to do real lab reports. A nice, gentle introduction to that. It is a lot of writing in this curriculum. A lot of copy work, writing down 4 ideas for things that you learned about each animal, 4 things you learned about each habitat, and then there'd be lab reports once a week. We didn't use all of them. Sometimes I would just cross them out because either we have done them before or we just were not able to have time that week. Because, I mean, you know, they're not always a winner. So, and so this was the bird unit, and went very organized into birds and the different animals, mammals, to birds, to reptiles, to invertebrates. And then they went and had the human body, which we started on here with the human body unit. I have where you can label the human body if you need to. And you could also do a butterfly guider. We did not get to do that, but they have all the different parts of the human body. And this is the stuff that she did not copy because we did go over it in here and they learned a lot about it without needing to do these. So germs, all of that. We did a plant growth chart. We kind of started it. I would say it's not too much longer because our bugs in our backyard, we have a lot of earwigs that tend to eat away at our backyard. So we did learn about it, how to write down a few of the vocabulary words as we read. But for the most part, we kind of were just learning about like reading it and having her just dictate just for time's sake, because it was becoming a pretty long school day. So there's an area where you can do the vocabulary. They have vocabulary, I believe, in the back of this book or in the back of the teachers. Let's see. I believe. So these are reviews you can also do if you want to do little quizzes. We did not choose to do quizzes this year, but it's nice that you have the option. I did review with them more in the dictation. We do tend to lean more towards a mix of classical and Charlotte Mason. So it's a lot more dictation than as much writing. So we didn't really do this first part, but we did use this part for the plants. So it has little pictures and explains little explanations. It's kind of almost like a storybook way of like, hey, like, I'm a root and this is what my life's like. Very cute. Very simple, but it's exactly what you need. So yeah, so we did like, so you do the writing one day and narration, read another thing, narration, and then sometimes there's little projects. Like this one was a fun one that we did end up doing because you get to make your own little rainforest by buying a plant, and then you put a 2-liter bottle of soda, you cut it in half, duct tape it around, and let just have the condensation come up as you have some soil in there in the plant too. And then also on here, another thing we did during the biology section, the mammals and all the animal section of the semesters, we would go to the animal diet chart, which would be on, I believe, her pages. And she would go through and she would write down whether it was a carnivore, whether it was a herbivore or an omnivore. So she had a whole list of all of this. That was one of her favorite things about it, was looking forward to the next animal to be, where does it go? What does it eat? So helps learn that in a fun way. And a good, easy challenge. And then, yeah, the encyclopedia, this helped. It had good stuff. I mean, it's very, just kind of like your average textbook of encyclopedia, the things you need to know. It helps with teaching about the spine, the shock absorbers. That helped a lot. But we just didn't do all of it because we were using this book, which basically has a lesson and an activity right next to it, which kind of puts together what you have here into a page that teaches about it and then has an activity. So it was a lot of fun. I did a lot of I copied these ones off so that we can reuse it if we end up going over the human body again, because it just has some great stuff. We talked about like skin layers by putting glue. That was a little experiment. We made an example of the spine by using like gummies and I forget if it was gummies. It was supposed to be a like licorice rope and like breath mints. It was pretty cool. We went different parts of just the bone, with like the bone marrow and the soft and the hard, like the spongy bone and cartilage and all of that. Different parts of the head. They made a little dance for like the nervous system, I think it was. But yeah, this was really great. I really recommend this as such a good supplement. It really takes the level of biology for the grammar stage when it comes to the body part to make it a little bit more fun and kind of worksheet with some good simple ideas and experiences for them to figure out what they want. So they really loved learning about the pain and like the food to fuel. They loved learning about the whole body system, how it digestion works, even about their teeth, especially because they were learning about cavities, because they do get cavities and we're trying to prevent that. But yeah, so this was just all around a really great information and very rich little supplement. So I really recommend that. We probably will not, I was going to possibly do the chemistry next year for this, because this is more of a cycle style of curriculum where you can do this and then you can do chemistry and then you can go back around to physics and then go back to biology as they get older and do this the older version. I'm going to try to do a nature study this fall, and I will be showing that. Not because this isn't great, but because, once you study biology, it's time to move on and go to something else, and then we will cycle back. I do like that part of the way that we run our homeschool. So I hope this was helpful. And I hope you have a great week. Hopefully this helps clear up a little bit if you were looking into biology for the grammar stage. I know that's a pretty popular one. There were a lot of people that recommended it for me, and it's not exactly my pace, but it was really good for my kids, especially in the zoology kind of part of it. I did get a zoology originally from a different curriculum, and it was a little advanced for their ages, so I might come back to it. I do have it since I bought it, and I will come back to it if we ever do decide to go back to zoology, but it's a lot of detail, and it might be a little bit more fit for when they're like maybe in 5th and 4th, well, probably 6th and 4th maybe grade, and we will see. And until then, I think I'm just going to be looking into the nature study and kind of go from there to see probably chemistry next. And I think the more advanced chemistry will be something that will work for the whole family, because the way it's set up, and because the younger, like they have a brother that is 5, and he would be able to kind of sit in and watch the experiments, from a safe distance, and still learn from that for science without having it be where he has to sit through the whole time of learning and like lecture and kind of the book study. So I think that would be really easy. My first grader just drew pictures usually. I had her draw pictures and write the animal name and whether it was an omnivore, herbivore, and then also the habitat, or an omnivore, herbivore, or a carnivore, and the habitat that they had. I had her do that for this science because all of the other writing, she just was not strong enough in her writing yet. I think next year she would be totally fine with that, and especially if she's interested in it. So hopefully this helped you guys out and that you enjoy picking your science. Science is fun, but there are a lot of options out there. So hopefully this helped. Have a great day.